And it's my honor to be the first person this evening to welcome you to the 43rd Annual Alumni Awards Ceremony. That's 43 years that we've been able to honor grads. That's over 4 decades honoring graduates for professional achievements and for their service to their alma mater. 43 years must make this one of the longest standing traditions on this campus, and we should all be very proud of that. We're also thrilled. This is a great turnout tonight, and we thank you for coming. There are graduates in this room spanning 7 decades. There are more than 50,000 Umass Dartmouth alumni spread throughout 57 nations and in 49 states. By the way, we have to do something about South Dakota. And we will work on that. I was honored to receive one of tonight's awards about 20 years ago, and I treasure it. And there are other past award recipients in this room tonight, and we'd like to ask them to stand so we can welcome them back and recognize and congratulate them again. Please stand. While we honor the past, we are also very excited about our university's present and future. And it's my pleasure to introduce our visionary leader, the Chancellor of the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth, Dr. Athena Mota.
So Bob is new, but he's also old in that he had been here before. He was director of our Alumni Affairs from 1980 to 1991. And then he had gone on, moved in the Northeast. So he comes to us from Hofstra University, where he was executive director of Alumni Affairs. And before that, he was at Yeshiva University. So Bob, we're so pleased that you're back with us. And you will stay forever, right? And I'm so pleased that he mentioned all the past honorees, because Dr. Les Corey is here. His name comes up repeatedly when I meet with alumni, and I have been meeting with many alumni in the last 16 months. And Dr. Corey was the first honoree at this Alumni Recognition Awards. So we're delighted that he's here this evening, because he also is representing all the honorees of the past and honoring those who are here today and also the future, because we have a number of students who are here. So I'd like to start by recognizing the presence here of our provost, Dr. Mohammed Karim. Dr. Karim is standing back there. And I think there are members of our cabinet here. I know Wendy Skinner is here. Would you please stand up? Our cabinet members and also our deans. There's Renee. I know the dean of the law school. And of course, Dean Bilek brought her own cheerleading team, so that's always good. And I think there are other deans here. Dean Burton is here. Where are you, Dean Burton? I saw you. He's back there. Thank you for being here. I wish each and every one of you a warm welcome, but especially our honorees and our friends, their friends, and family members. Before I move on to the rest of my remarks, I would like to take a moment to remember this evening an alum who passed away 2 days ago, and that is Bill Giblin. So Bill Giblin is an alumnus of the university. He graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Textile Engineering, but he also received an honorary doctorate of business administration from Umass Dartmouth in 2006. So he was an alum from 1957. He served on our board of trustees for over a decade, and he became the vice chairman of the University of Massachusetts System Board of Trustees. He also served as chair of the University of Massachusetts Building Authority, and he is also nationally recognized in the textile industry. So he was the president and CEO of Tweave Incorporated, and he had served in various capacities as an official of various textile groups, including a chair of the National Textile Council. So I'd like to take a moment this evening for us to remember him with a moment of silence. Let's remember the contributions and the leadership of our former Vice Chairman of the Board of Trustees and our alum, Bill Giblin. Thank you. There is no more powerful example of the consequential impact of UMass Dartmouth on the university and on our community than in the meaningful and productive careers and lives that our alumni have led, from the time they graduate from here to the successes that they have enjoyed and continue to enjoy. The work that we do today builds on the reputation that you have established for the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth. It's a reputation for innovation, for achievement, for leadership, and engagement. Since you left, and you left various stages in the last many years, since you left, Umass Dartmouth has grown up. So Umass Dartmouth for 2 years in a row has been cited by U.S. News and World Report as the top public regional university in New England. So we're very pleased about that. And Washington Monthly, for 2 years in a row as well, has developed a new ranking system that's based on 3 criteria: affordability and upward social mobility of our graduates, cutting-edge research of our faculty, and community service and community engagement. We are number 25 in that ranking among master's universities, not in Massachusetts, but in the United States. So we're very proud of that. And of course, you know that for, I think this is now the 3rd year, that we have been cited as one of the top finalists among 600 universities and colleges in the United States. We have been in the top 12 or 15 finalists out of over 600 in the President's, as in President Obama, President's Higher Education Community Service Honor Roll. And that distinction is because of the 200,000 community service hours that our students contribute to this community in various ways and in various organizations. They are making a difference every day, and we're very, very proud of them. Our strategic planning process, called UMass D Transform 2020, was launched in May, and it is underway. The various committees and task forces are doing their work, and that strategic plan will be disseminated and publicly released at the end of April, so before graduation in 2014. And last week, I think you read in the newspapers that Governor DeVal Patrick was here on campus, and he announced a new $55 million academic building on our campus. So we're very, very pleased about that as well. And the timing of that is so propitious, because in January we will be mounting our master planning process. So to develop a facilities plan in order to achieve the goals that are embedded in the strategic plan that is currently underway. So we're very, very excited that the first building, and we haven't even started our master plan, the first building is already funded. So thank you to all of you who helped make that happen with your advocacy on behalf of the university. We have had 2 dedications of 2 new facilities. We just dedicated the Elizabeth Pennington Clinical Stimulation Laboratory in the College of Nursing, and that is a state-of-the-art simulation lab for nursing students. And that was because of the gift from the former dean of the College of Nursing, Dean Betty Pennington. We also inaugurated the IDEA lab, and that IDEA stands for Innovation, Design, Engineering, and Arts. And the IDEA lab was created through the gift of two alumni like you. One is Chip Hildreth, who graduated from the College of Engineering, and the other one is Sue Hall, who graduated from the College of Visual and Performing Arts with a Master of Fine Arts. So we also dedicated that just in the last month. And of course, since we have half of the room, I think, are lawyers. So our law school was recently named Top 5 Regional Law School for Black Students by the nationally recognized Lawyers of Color. And this honor, of course, coincides with our law school dean, Leom Blais, who was recognized recently. Actually, she was recognized along with Ann Ketchys, who's also being honored here tonight. So they were both recognized as top women of law by the Massachusetts Lawyers Weekly. Yeah. So congratulations to both of them. So I do not want to forget that we have sitting in the room one of our trustees of the Umass system, and that's Trustee Marty Extifaris back there. And I haven't seen our student trustee Colin Murphy, but I see our former student trustee Josh Encarnacion back there, so representing Colin Murphy. Thank you. So our students are demonstrating leadership every day by building pride, by organizing activities in order to support and to mentor the new students that come along, the new students that are admitted. And also, recently they helped register 1,600 students to vote during this last election. And we're very proud that we have a 20-year-old senior student of Umass Dartmouth. I think you know the story because you read about it in the newspapers, who was elected to the New Bedford School Committee. So we know this young man will go places, right? Because he hasn't even graduated, and he's already managed to get himself elected to the New Bedford School Committee. Now let's talk about all of you. We have over 53,000 alumni from Bradford Durfee, from New Bedford, so the Bradford Durfee Textile School, and the New Bedford Textile School, which became the New Bedford College of Technology and the Bradford Durfee Institute of Technology, which merged to become the Southeastern Massachusetts Technical Institute that evolved to Southeastern Massachusetts University and entered the Umass system in 1991. So all of our alums, including the ones from the Swain School of Design, I don't know if there are any Swaineys here tonight, but including those from the Swain School of Design, all of us together, 53,000 alumni from UMass Dartmouth and all of our precursor institutions. So I continue to be inspired by the alumni I have met, and I have met them not just here, but I have met them all over the country. And I'm going to be meeting many of them next week in Washington, D.C. as well. We met several of them last week. I see Laura Stone is sitting here. She brought in several alumni who are CEOs of companies, and they were here last week, and they did a mentorship forum with our students in business and in engineering. And what a difference they made for those students in those mentorship forums. Our alumni tell stories of professors like Dr. Les Corey, who blessed them with the courage to take intellectual risks and to think bigger than they ever imagined they could. And they also share stories about professors who cared about them beyond the classroom and who continued the relationship with them long after they left the university. In order to get to the next level, of success. We need more alumni engagement at all levels. As we continue to get better, your degrees are going to be worth more, right? So this is a mutually beneficial activity, trying to get the university to improve and to get better. So I would like each of you to come away from here this evening doing one or more of the following. And if the answer is all of the above, all the better. So the first one is, would you help us by creating internship opportunities for our students at your firms or at your organizations? How many are pledging to do that this evening? Please raise your hands. Well, we need to do better than 3 hands. How many of you are you pledging to help our students have more internship opportunities? Say yes. Yes. Okay. Well, I didn't think that was that was not an acclamation. So how many, I want the legislators at the State House to hear that at Umass Dartmouth, our alumni care about the students that are going through their education. So how many of you are willing to help our students have access to internship opportunities, new internship opportunities? Yes. Yes. Okay. How many of you are willing to advocate for Umass Dartmouth by telling your own personal story? I have heard so many stories. I mean, I can tell you 20 stories right now, including ones that I've heard last week from the alumni who came. How many of you are willing, Carol Rago, who is a vice president at CDM Smith, an engineering firm in Cambridge, she is raising her hand and saying yes. But you're already doing this, Carol. I want new ones to pledge. So how many of you are willing to tell your story about the impact of Umass Dartmouth on your lives and on your careers? Yes. Okay, wonderful. And raising your hands too. Judge Larkin, thank you. And how many of you are willing to recruit students and help mentor them so that they can be as successful as you are? Yes. Okay. And how many of you are willing to make financial contributions when the opportunity arises to help Umass Dartmouth get better? Yes. Okay, that's impressive. How many of you are pledging to do all of the above? Yes. Okay, well there I need a little bit of... How many of you are willing to do all of the above? Yes. Okay, so Trustee Ektikars, but she also is an alum, so she's raising both her hands, and so is Carol, and we will follow their lead. So I am very excited and elated to hear about all of your achievements, and I look forward to working with you in the months and years to come to help Umass Dartmouth become a better university so that our students here in the South Coast, our young people from the South Coast and in the region, can continue to have access to a world-class education such as all of you had access to. So thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to the awards. Thank you.
We begin the evening with the Young Alumni Award. It is my pleasure to introduce the chair of the Umass Dartmouth Alumni Association Nominations Committee, Steve Martins.
Thank you. Good evening. I have the honor of presenting the first award of the evening and introducing this year's Alumni Association Young Alumni Award recipient. The Alumni Board chose to create this award to recognize rising stars, young alumni, who have created a name for themselves within 10 years of graduation. This award aims to recognize someone who has exceptional achievements in career, public service, or volunteer activities, bring honor to the University of Massachusetts of Dartmouth. Matthew Gallant is an alumnus who has done just that. As a student in the College of Engineering, Matt graduated with a degree in civil engineering and was the recipient of the Alan Campbell Award for Excellence. During his time on campus, he blossomed as a future engineer while engaged in the co-op program. His experiences at CDM Smith as a student laid the foundation for a full-time job after graduation. He currently specializes in water distribution planning evaluation and design, hydraulic modeling, and water supply and quality. He is a frequent guest speaker on campus and has recently been invited to join the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineers Industrial Advisory Board. In 2010, after suddenly losing his best friend from Umass Dartmouth and fellow colleague at CDM Smith, Matt was the central figure and driving force behind the creation of the Sean D. DeWitt Scholarship. The scholarship supports students who have a commitment to help people through their profession as civil engineers. Surpassing all expectations, the scholarship raised double the figure necessary. Today, Matt serves as the steward for both the accompanying summer internship at CDM Smith and the annual scholarship process. One of Matt's nominators wrote in part, "Mr. Gallant is one of those capable individuals who performs high level of work without bragging. His good cheer and tremendous enthusiasm for both the profession and for UMass Dartmouth is wonderful to observe and share." Another recalled an experience where Matt was literally beaming about growing up in the city of New Bedford and his education at UMass Dartmouth. The particular nominator captured the essence of his nomination by stating, "He makes us proud every day. He makes us smile. He makes everyone smile." Please join me in congratulating someone who makes UMass Dartmouth smile and very proud. The 2013 Alumni Association Young Alumni Award recipient goes to Matthew Gallant.
I was joking. I recently at work, I started working on a project, and the client is actually an SMU grad who was actually my connection to CDM Smith when I first started as a co-op intern. And he heard about me receiving this award when we were at a project meeting, and he asked me if I was going to start my campaign for the old Alumni Award. I told him he'd have to wait. But I would first like to thank the UMass Dartmouth Alumni Association for this award and honor tonight. I was taken by complete surprise when I found out I had been selected as a Young Alumni Award recipient, and I'm certainly humbled for this recognition. Back when I was in high school deciding on which college to attend, I remember a conversation I had with my dad. He told me that there would be two important names in my college degree, my name and that of the school that would bestow that degree upon me. While he told me my name would most reflect the hard work needed to earn that degree, the school I chose to attend would also help shape my career path. I look back on that conversation now and reflect upon how my decision to attend UMass Dartmouth shaped not only my career path, but gave me so many lifelong connections and friendships. I would like to just briefly recognize and thank some of those special people who are here with me tonight, as they are the real reason I'm standing here accepting this award. First, my wife and best friend Danielle. Thank you for your love and constant support by my side through everything along our journey in life. My parents, Jean and Paul Gallant, and my dad, who is an SMU class of 1976 alumni. Thank you for your love, constant support, and family upbringing that shaped me into the person that I am today. And thank you for the financial support to put me through college. One of my younger brothers, Brian, who is also a UMass Dartmouth class of 2006 graduate, is here with me tonight. It takes siblings to keep you honest, humbled, and grounded in life, so thank you for all your support as well. Carol Rigo, a fellow UMass Dartmouth or SMU alum, and my UMD big sister at CDM Smith. Thank you for adopting me into the CDM Smith family, for continuing to look over my career, and for being instrumental in nominating me for this award. Roger Norton, my supervisor at CDM Smith. I've been so fortunate to have you as my direct supervisor since the day I started as a 19-year-old UMass Dartmouth co-op student back in 2001. Thank you for always helping me to guide my career path. I'm not sure if he is here, but I'd like to recognize Dr. Thomas Jacobitz, one of my former civil engineering professors and my advisor. Thank you for being one of the special teachers in my life, teaching me engineering knowledge, providing me advice and guidance as a mentor, and for helping me find my job at CDM Smith. Thank you also for your friendship throughout the years, which I value greatly. Dr. Neil Fennessy, who I'm not sure is with us tonight, another one of my former civil engineering professors. Thank you for being also one of those special teachers who taught me well and guided my career. I'm always honored when you invite me back to present to one of your classes as a guest speaker, and I value your friendship. Jane Staples, the co-op intern program will always be near and dear to me. Thank you for helping me start my career as a 19-year-old college sophomore through the co-op program. Lara Stone, it is an honor to work with you on philanthropic endeavors at the university, and thank you for your constant support. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge Sean Duarte, who unfortunately is not with us tonight, having passed away 3 years ago. Sean and I met as sophomore engineering students here at Umass Dartmouth. We had every one of our civil engineering classes together. We became great friends, and I was lucky enough to work with him side by side at CDM Smith for many years. Sean, thank you for being an inspiration to me, for always pushing me to work harder at school and work, for being such a great friend, and for having such a positive influence on my career and life. You are missed every day, and I would not be standing here accepting this award tonight if it was not for you. I know Sean's parents, Frank and Priscilla Duarte, wanted to be here tonight but could not attend, but I'd like to also thank them for raising such a fine son in Sean, who had such a positive influence on me. Once again, thank you to the Umass Dartmouth Alumni Association for this award and honor tonight. I'm proud every day to represent Umass Dartmouth.
Please welcome from the Law School Alumni Association's board, Leom Blais, who will present this year's UMass Law School's Alumni Ambassador Award.
So we have a brief modification to tonight's schedule. Leom Blais was supposed to present the award tonight, but unfortunately is sick. So I want you all to use your imagination. I'm a much younger, yet extremely more ugly version of Libra. I am pleased to be able to present the award. It's the Ambassador Award to Discepolo, who was a 1998 graduate of the Southern New England School of Law. Even before presenting the award, I just want to mention something. When we were, as a board, meeting at the beginning of this year, Dean Bielik was kind enough to let us use her house, and she invited us to her house for dinner, and she challenged our board to find somebody, or not just somebody, people to give this award to that were out there every day working as attorneys, and that go to work every day and you know, pick these people who are representing the school because they went to school to become lawyers, and they're acting as lawyers every day. We could not have picked a better candidate for the Ambassador Award than Don Discepolo. Don grew up in New Jersey and graduated from high school in New Jersey and then moved to Pennsylvania before graduating from the University of Maryland for his undergraduate degree. He came to the Southern New England School of Law, where he studied under Professor Duncan, who he was able to learn from, and those of us who have learned from Professor Duncan know that his unique teaching skills give you an extremely unique way to get out there in the world and be able to see the world in different manners. So, Don sat for both the Maryland and the Massachusetts bar in 1998. He passed both bars. And that's really significant because when Southern New England School of Law first came in play, there weren't too many bar exams that you were allowed to sit for. So to be able to sit for 2 different bar exams and be able to pass 2 bar exams is fantastic. He currently works as an attorney, and he's a very, very good attorney. He represents civil clients, criminal clients. He has represented defendants in murder cases. He has made his clients over $100 million in settlements, and he's working very, very hard in the state of Maryland, where he currently practices. I didn't have the opportunity to meet Don until tonight, and when I met him, I had a very brief conversation with him, and I said, "What do you do?" And he said, "Well, I'm a lawyer." He stopped at that, and he made me pry out of him what he does. And I noticed very quickly that Don is a humble man, and that's something that in the practice of law is very, very much respected. And I can speak to that. The more humble attorney that you find, the more you respect the person. I am very, very, very pleased to present the Umass Law Alumni Ambassador Award to Don Discepolo.
I'm very humbled and honored to be here tonight. And the reason for that is that you have to understand that I was a guy that went away to school and played football. And after 2 years of playing football and drinking, I was summarily asked to to leave the college I was going to. To this day, I still don't understand that decision. However, I've come to understand that that has been one of the defining moments of my life. I was lucky enough to get myself back into school. I went to community college and worked full-time and went to school full-time. And was lucky enough to get into University of Maryland. And, after a couple years, they gave me a degree. I don't understand how that happened. I applied to 15 law schools, and my stellar GPA apparently wasn't up to snuff for the other Massachusetts institutions that you have here. So I was granted admission by one school, Southern New England School of Law. That was in the fall of 1994. And for me to tell you that I was elated by that decision is a complete understatement. As I look out at all of you, and I look in all of your eyes, the young students I've met tonight, the immigration clinic at the University of Umass, and I see the inspiration in the young students. I remember when I was a young student. And the thing that every one of us has is confidence issues. I don't care who you are, I don't care what you do. I've litigated cases all across the country. Tell me where you went to law school, tell me how many cases you want, I don't care. It's all about confidence. If you have confidence, you can do anything. Dean Larkin took me aside in the fall of 1994, and he said, Don, I believe in you. And that was something that no one really said to me before. Professor Duncan, who was not here, who I really embarrassed, was another professor that said, I see something in you. And what Southern New England represented at the time to me was a chance. And it was a chance at something bigger and better. In all of our lives, we have the aspiration of who we are and who we want to be. And in my life, I would have never been able to achieve what I have achieved but for Southern New England. And the transition to Umass, I've been embraced by the dean, and I thank you very much. I've been lucky enough to get back a little bit. And money doesn't mean much. It really doesn't. Because unless you have people that believe in you and they can instill that confidence in you, you got nothing. What I can say, and I'm a testament to this, is that I would not be anything but for Southern New England. I would not be anything but for Dean Larkin, Professor Duncan, and others. And when you look at the individuals in your life, you look at the people that you run across, the people that you trip across, the person that's at this store that's taking your change, all the people you interact with in life, and how you can affect them, how you can interact with them, what you can learn from them. What I've learned is I'm very humble, I'm very honored, and I'm glad that Southern New England chose me. Thank you very much.
Please join me in welcoming the President-elect of the Umass Dartmouth Alumni Association, Jennifer Granger, who will be presenting this year's University Service Awards. Jen?
Tonight I have the honor of introducing this year's Alumni Association University Service Award recipient. This award, given annually, recognizes a current or past member of the administration, faculty, or staff whose service has contributed significantly to the success of and further enhanced the reputation and mission of the Alumni Association and Umass Dartmouth. Eileen Caron recently retired from Umass Dartmouth after 33 years of service in the Computing and Information Technology Services. She holds 2 degrees, a Bachelor of Arts in Mathematics and a Master of Business Administration. Her responsibilities have changed as the university grew and became a part of the Umass system. She worked on the merger to the Umass system, developed campus protocols for Y2K, but was instrumental in the data conversion of the student and financial systems to PeopleSoft. Beyond her job description, Eileen was very active in the campus community with women, the Children's Center for Learning, Campus Chorus, and the ESU. Her nominations describe her as the model of an ideal alumna of Umass Dartmouth. She is embedded in the campus and local communities, a lifelong learner who is committed to excellence, caring, and compassion. She is an excellent role model for students, faculty, staff, and fellow alumni. It is safe to say that Eileen and Caron has contributed significantly to the success of and further enhanced the reputation and the mission of the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth. Please join me in congratulating her as the 2013 Alumni Association University Service Award recipient.
Get to the old people, get to the classes. Chancellor Grossman, fellow recipients, guests, family, and friends. I would like to thank the Alumni Awards Committee for selecting me to receive this year's University Service Award. I'm incredibly honored and humbled. When I started working at the university in 1979, I had no idea I would spend the rest of my working career here. Retirement was too far in the future to even think about it. Being back in an academic setting was invigorating, and getting involved seemed to be the right thing to do, so I did. In addition to my IT work, I earned my MBA at night, sang in the chorus, acted in a few productions, supported the children of students and staff through my involvement with the Children's Center for Learning, helped host the Hall of Fame banquet for 25 years, and worked for my fellow staffers as a member of the executive committee of the ESU and on several negotiating teams. 33 years flew by. I'm proud of everything I accomplished at the university, including the many systems I designed and wrote or implemented, the number of people I've taught to use technology, and the wonderful friends I've made throughout the campus and the Umass system. I've learned so much from so many, and I will forever be indebted to those who made my career possible. My co-workers, students, and especially my family, my husband Al, and my daughters Stephanie and Andrea. I could not have accomplished what I did without their love and support. Thank you again.
We now will be joined by Tisha Giles-Radek, Chair of the Law School Alumni Association's Mentoring Committee, who will introduce this year's Alumni Achievement Award recipient.
Good evening, everyone. I am attorney Tisha Giles-Radek and also very proud of being an alumni of our law school. I'm here to present the Alumni Achievement Award to one of the greatest citizen lawyers of our time, Mr. Daniel J. McColgan. Daniel served on the board of Bristol County Bar Associate Advocates, accepting and representing numerous indigent clients zealously. Daniel is a resident and leader in his community, driven to represent good citizens, including many pro bono cases. You see, liberty is Daniel's first priority, and it always has been. My first experience of meeting Daniel was in our law school library, and it seemed to him that I lived in this place, but I had become very, very frustrated with my beginning career as an attorney, as a law school student, and he encouraged me to continue to fight, not to stop, and he has always represented the continuing fighting to get what you want, to get where you need to be, and the desire to achieve throughout. Daniel, not only as a representative in his community, he remains a catalyst for social change in New Bedford and all neighboring towns in our community. The continuous fighting for human rights is something that we don't hear or see very much. Daniel is my unsung hero, and it gives me great pleasure and honor, ladies and gentlemen. He is more than just a fantastic community attorney. He is a very good friend of mine. He is my daughter's godfather. And because of him, I have been a successful attorney for 13 years.
Well, I was just going to get up here and speak like I normally do in court, but they said, Dan, stick to a script. They want to get out of here. Don't do it. So I'm going to stick to this this little script that I wrote earlier today. It is an honor to be recognized by the Umass School of Law. A special thank you goes out to the board members of the Alumni Association. I am truly honored and I thank you for this recognition. In 1993, after only having received acceptance letters to be on a waiting list at a few law schools, I was all set to go to Fairbanks, Alaska to study for my MBA. With classes picked out, student loans approved, textbooks purchased, and my dorm room selected. Not my roommate. I got the acceptance letter to attend this law school. My plans immediately changed. I decided to come here from the Berkshires and study law. Not being the best at vocabulary, writing, or spelling, I was afraid that I could not cut it, that I was afraid of failing. So, a few months before coming to law school, I bought an old book for about 10 cents, this 1953 edition of Jurisprudence in Action. I skimmed through it and made a list of words that I did not know the meaning to. I looked up and memorized one word a day before coming to law school. And yes, it paid off. On the first day of constitutional law, with Professor Lupin asked the class what a certain word was. What that word was, I don't remember. But I do know it's one of those words that I picked out of this book and memorized. Well, that gave me the confidence that I was lacking to at least attempt law school. But I thought to myself, uh-oh, now I've done it. Well, he asked the class the definition. 4 or 5 people raised their hand and gave the definition. I, of course, knew they were wrong. I forced my hand up. I gave the definition of that word. And he paused for a moment and he said, Mr. McColgan, I believe you are the closest to the correct definition of that. And I said, my God, I've done it now for myself. All these strangers in this class now believe I'm a brain. I know I am. So, well, it paid off. So for the rest of the year, studying law here, I made sure to read every case, every reading assignment. Not the yellow notes, not the cheat sheet. I read every assignment. And that paid off. Because back in those days, other professors would monitor other professors' classes. And who do you think they called on first? Me. Why? Because they knew I read the material and that I could at least have some type of discussion about the cases or the assignments with them for that day's reading. I bring this up to show the difference from the law school's teaching methods compared to others like Yale or like Harvard, which are fine schools. We were using the same textbooks for any subject that Yale or Harvard was using at the time, but it was taught differently. It was taught better here. At Harvard and Yale School, the professors would lecture on anything but the assigned reading. Anything but what you had read for that day. And here at Southern New England School of Law, Umass School of Law, the professors lectured and discussed that day's reading assignment, that day's cases that you should have had read. And that was a good thing. I'm going to go off the script, because years later, as lawyers, you need to know, you need to think quick on your feet. You can plan for a jury trial, plan for a hearing. Nothing ever goes quite like you think it's going to go. You've got to be quick on your feet. If you don't know the answer, you've got to be able to pull it out of your head. And that's what Southern New England School of Law did for me. Now, Tisha Giles-Radek, thank you for your introduction. What a successful story you are. You are a great person, a wife, a mother, and an awesome federal lawyer. I can remember our law school days together. I didn't have much money in the law school days. One time, Tisha got into my car and blurted out, "Oh my God, I'm riding in the Flintstone car." You see, the passenger side had a hole in it, and you could see down the road. Tisha, just put that map over it, you won't fall. I remember another day, Tisha and I had no money, no food, as we were waiting for the mailman to arrive with a check from home. Also, I hadn't been home in a while to go grocery shopping in Mom and Dad's pantry. So we were hungry and broke. So Tisha and I went to the nearest grocery store and bought $10 worth of broccoli, because all I had was a stick of butter in my refrigerator. We wrote a check hoping that we could get the check from home to put in the account before the check bounced. We made it, and we enjoyed that broccoli. Another time I was driving home for an Christmas in a Christmas snowstorm. My other car, was a junk. It was backfiring and smoking as I drove through the snow from New Bedford towards Providence to head on out to the Berkshire. Well, it broke down before I could even get to Providence. In exchange for a tow ride to the Providence train station, I sang over the title to the car for a ride to the tow truck, got into the train station, and all trains and buses were canceled because of the snow. Thankfully, George Umass stayed behind. He's a fellow student who attended. Stayed behind and hadn't gone home yet. I called him up. He drove his car, which wasn't all that great of a car, if I remember, all the way to the Providence train station to bring me back to New Bedford so I could possibly get out the next day night. Thank you. I remember that. I have to thank my parents who are here tonight, Mom, Dad. They were the first great teachers of my life. Always gave me unconditional love, no matter what. And they are my number one supporters. Thank you. Every good lawyer, there must be a good and great investigator. If you don't, you're not a good lawyer. I found that early on, 15 years ago, David Santos, who was here. He is the best investigator I know and a great friend. David, thank you. I have to thank my fellow attorney office mates, Attorney Guy LaRock, Michelle Rio, who's here. Susan Damiano, who's here, Pat Mullen, who's here, Dan Evans, who was at the law school, but I don't know if she made it. I thank her for putting up with me for over these last several years. You can tell I'm loud, that's not true. But I get things done. Thank you for putting up with me for over the years. You have been an asset to my career. I thank you for allowing me to bounce things off and around you. You are awesome lawyers, great office mates, and great friends too. Thank you. Justice Elspeth Cipher, Elliott. She taught me legal writing at first, right here at Southern New England School of Law. She is a great educator, a great mentor, and I thank her for all that she has done for me. Not only teaching me legal writing, and knowing my weaknesses in spelling and writing, She provided me worksheets every week to build up my skills. Ellie talked me into interning at the DA's office while in law school, and when I passed the bar and was hired as an ADA, she allowed me to prosecute and argue a murder appeal before the SJC. And many other appeals before the Massachusetts Appeals Court. You would think that's backwards, usually start below the courts and work your way up. She had me do it exactly backwards, and I'll tell you, I benefited from all those cases I've read and had to make sure I did it right. We're talking about murder, then work my way down to the courts. Thank you so much for the inspiration you have to me. I'll recite the word. The education, and by the way, she's coming to Southern New England School of Law, I understand, as one of the 3-member panel appeals court judges to actually litigate cases there. You might want to attend. I think that's okay. Yeah. Thanks. If not, see me another. That being said, I also like representing the private paying client too. Okay? Well, actually, let's back up. The education I'm almost done, I promise. The education I received at this law school was the best, and it allowed me to provide for myself while doing what I love the most, standing up and advocating for the underdog, giving back to the community by working with indigent clients. I thank the Bristol County Bar Advocates Association, your Linda Lowell. Thank you. You got me on that. For allowing me to represent indigent criminal defendants for the past 12 years. There is nothing more rewarding to me, or that gives me a good feeling at giving back to the community than to fight to get an indigent client a fair trial for a second or third or fourth, yes, he won't get a chance. They are people's sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers. That's what I think. Fighting for the one's liberty is so rewarding for me. It is the right thing to do for me. That being said, I also like representing the private paying client too. Especially the drug trafficking client whose wives come into my office, dump out onto my desk garbage bags filled with $20 bills. Not to worry, I wash them off first of any white powder that may be on them. Congratulations to all the award recipients tonight. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I leave here tonight feeling honored with this recognition by Umass School of Law, and with the hope that Umass School of Law will keep going on with the tradition of making a law school education affordable and accessible for future students who want to become lawyers. I am deeply honored, and I thank you.
To present this year's Alumni Achievement Award, it is my pleasure to reintroduce and welcome the President of the Umass Dartmouth Alumni Association, Athena Mota.
Good evening. As President of the Umass Dartmouth Alumni Association, I thank you all so much for being with us tonight. What a wonderful turnout this has been, and I am just so proud to share this evening with my fellow alumni. I am honored to introduce our Alumni Association Achievement Award. The recipient of this award is an alumna or alumnus who has exemplified distinguished stature in a chosen profession, has attained great respect on a local as well as regional level, and whose notable achievements have not only had a strong impact on their field and brought personal recognition as a leader in their profession, but also enhanced the reputation of the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. Tonight's recipient, Dr. John Farrington, has done all of that and more. Dr. John Farrington holds 2 degrees from Umass Dartmouth. In 1966, he graduated with a degree in chemistry, and then 2 short years later, he graduated with his master's degree in chemistry. After Umass Dartmouth, he earned his doctorate at the University of Rhode Island, Graduate School of Oceanography. He spent the bulk of his distinguished career at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute in a series of positions from postdoctoral investigator to senior scientist in the chemistry department. He also held various leadership positions, retiring from Woods Hole in 2006 after serving as vice president for academic programs and dean. John returned to the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth on an interim basis twice. First, as interim dean and professor for the School of Marine Science and Technology, and later as interim provost and vice chancellor for academic and student affairs. His curriculum vitae is filled with countless examples of professional accomplishments demonstrating the strong impact he has had in his field and the numerous honors he's received, recognizing him as a leader in the field. In addition to John's extensive resume, the selection committee was moved by his dedication to the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth. When called to service, John graciously stepped in, both times during a transition. He provided strong, compassionate leadership, first to the faculty, staff, and students of SMS, and then in his role as interim provost to the larger campus community. On behalf of the Umass Dartmouth Alumni Association, please join me in congratulating Dr. John Farrington as the 2013 Alumni Association Achievement
Distinguished fellow honorees, past honorees, I thank the UMass Dartmouth Alumni Association for this recognition. I accept with the full understanding that I would not be standing here accepting this award without the strong love and support of my mother, who is a single mom here in New Bedford. Her family took us in and nurtured me. My wife, son, and daughter, an extended family, and the generous advice and assistance of friends, colleagues, co-workers, and students have supported me throughout my career. I graduated from New Bedford High School in 1962. One of UMass Dartmouth's predecessor organizations, which has been mentioned here this evening, New Bedford Institute of Technology, turned out, for several reasons, to be the only four-year college I could attend. And like many of my classmates, I was the first of the family to go to college. Those are very exciting times. First off, I had to get a part-time job to be able to go to college. And I was very fortunate in getting a job as an assistant mechanic in automatic pin setters in Bowling Alley in Fairhaven. Now, notwithstanding the wonderful study facilities we have in the library these days, you have not studied until you have been behind 44 automatic pin setters, pins flying around and bowling balls coming down. But it was a very practical, pragmatic education, and it helped me out a lot when I was out at sea. Because, you know, there aren't any hardware stores out there in the ocean, so you have to make do with what's on the ship. While I was a student, the Bedford Institute of Technology became Southeastern Massachusetts Technological Institute, and I was privileged to be one of the students involved in the torch relay run up to the Boston Common in front of the State House, where we rallied and demonstrated to get this campus built. Now, I'm pragmatic enough to realize there were a lot of politics going on in the background. But the outpouring of the community from New Bedford, Fall River, and southeastern Massachusetts was truly outstanding. And I would say, Chancellor, you need that type of outpouring right now for revitalization of this campus and the education that we are able to offer to go hand in hand with your plan that you're undertaking. I don't have my signature bow tie on this evening. Several people have commented about that. Instead, I wear my periodic table of the elements top in honor of the chemistry department, which provided me with an excellent education. I was very proud to be associated with that department and still am. And I'm very humbled that Professor Carl Wu, who is over there, Professor Wu, please stand up. I was Professor Wu's teaching assistant when I had my studies for my master's degree, and I helped in the lab with organic chemistry. However, I want to acknowledge it was the full range of the education that I received. Not just in chemistry, not just in the required courses, but the formal and informal education that came with the electives and with student activities. Prepared me for a really full, rich, and rewarding career. I'm a big advocate of one of Louis Pasteur's dictum, and that is that when observing natural systems, chance favors the prepared mind. And this university, its predecessor, prepared my mind for those wonderful chances that came along. I'm also mindful of Louis Pasteur's comment that there isn't any such thing as applied research. Rather, there is research and the applications of research. And I have been very fortunate in my career to be engaged in both of those. And I wouldn't give it up at all. Some really exciting things about discovering small things about nature that no one else has ever seen before, and also contributing to knowledge that has an immediate impact on societal needs. Now, you know how dangerous it is to allow a professor to have a podium. It's even more dangerous for a former interim dean. And when you get a former interim provost, you're in real trouble. However, I'm mindful of the guidance I received from my family when they asked me a question when we're sitting around the table. And this has been passed on from my son and daughter to their spouses and now to the grandchildren. And so immediately after the question I get, Dad or Grandpa, we would like the short version of the answer. Therefore, for my part, thank you very much.
The president of the Umass Law Alumni Association will be presenting the first of 2 Lifetime Achievement Awards tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Ben Harris.
Yeah, I'm still not Leom Blais. Good evening. My name is Ryan Ben Harris. I'm the president of the University of Massachusetts School of Law Alumni Association. First, I would like to share Athena's sentiment in thanking you all for being here. This is a wonderful evening, and it is every year. We're very proud of our graduates, and we're very proud of our award recipients. This evening, I have the esteemed honor of presenting a Lifetime Achievement Award to one of the most respected attorneys in Massachusetts. Attorney Ann McGuire is a 1973 graduate of the University of Massachusetts at Amherst and a 1976 graduate of the Western New England College School of Law. After leaving law school, Attorney McGuire worked for more than 10 years at the Boston firm Lubin Meyer. in its medical malpractice division before she went to Ketch's Law Group in Taunton, where she founded their medical malpractice division, where she is now a partner. Throughout her career, she has represented hundreds of clients in Massachusetts torts cases, from every element from medical malpractice to unsafe work environments. She's also served under 2 Massachusetts governors on the executive committee for judicial nomination. And if you don't know what that is, those are the committees that select the judges in the Commonwealth. So those are very important. She's also a frequent lecturer in her field of practice and has taught multiple seminars at the law school and in many places with respect to her field of expertise. However, I'm here tonight to talk about her dedication to the law school. Her dedication to the law school for the better part of the last few years have been nothing short of colossal. In 1999, she served as the Southern New England School of Law Corporation president. And from 1997 through its dissolution in 2009, she served on the Southern New England School of Law Board of Trustees. Currently, her firm, Ketch's Law Group, regularly hires Umass graduates and interns while they're in law school or after they've graduated. And the fact that we're the most respected law firms with over 20 attorneys, and it would be wrong for me not to mention that George Ketch is Attorney McGuire's husband, with more than 20 attorneys, regards our school as a place that they get their attorneys from could not be more appreciated from the school. And she has given an immense amount of time and dedication to the Southern New England School of Law and the Umass Law in every capacity. And all of these are wonderful achievements, but they wouldn't be given the proper level of justice if I didn't mention the one thing that Ann McGuire has going for her that trumps all of them. And that's that she's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person. When this vote passed a few months ago to give this award to Ann, there was sort of a grumbling on the board as to who was going to get to present it to her. And I generally am a humble guy, but it was the first time in my short presidency that I went ahead and pulled rank. I wanted to leave with the opportunity to present the award to Ann, but I also wanted to tell you a little bit of a story, and I'll be brief, I promise. As an attorney, we all have a handful, 1, 2, 3 people that we remember early in our careers that helped us kickstart our careers as attorneys. And I was here a couple of years ago when we presented this award to Representative Chris Markey, and I talked about his brother John, how John was one of those people for me. And Ann McGuire is one of those people for me, and here's why. In 2001, I graduated from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, and I was living at my parents' house in North Attleboro. I was working at the stock room at the Eddie Bauer in the Rentham outlet, living on my parents' couch. And my mother, who's also an attorney, was tired of me doing that. She gave me 3 options. And my options were to go out there and find a job in journalism and use the degree that she had just paid $100,000 for. Go to law school, which that sounded awful, or get out of her house. So I didn't like any of those 3 options. But what she did was she told me to call Ann McGuire because she knew Ann was affiliated with the school and she wanted me to talk to Ann about going to law school, and I did that. I called Ann, and she told me how welcoming the Southern New England School of Law was, how wonderful their staff was, how it wasn't in Boston. She didn't want to go to Boston. And I talked to her for about 15 minutes, and she talked me into going to law school. The next day, I went down to the school, and I filled out an application, and I went to law school there, and I loved it. And I'm 100% certain, and it's a fact, it's not an opinion, I'm 100% certain that I would not be a lawyer if not being a lawyer. And I can't imagine how many other students and family members and clients and other attorneys' lives she's impacted along the way. And I know that I'm walking proof of what she can and what she does do. There could not be a more deserving candidate of a Lifetime Achievement Award from our school. She has a lifetime of amazing achievements under her belt, and the law school is very, very, very lucky to have her on our team. So I'm very proud to present Attorney Ann McGuire with this year's Lifetime Achievement.
Well, I was given a memo that said I had 1 minute. So let me begin with the speech that I prepared. Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, members of the Alumni Association. Thank you very much, Ryan, for that story. I really, really, really appreciate it. Now I'd be about done, because that's about a minute, right? But I'm going to take up the challenge that the Chancellor just gave us a moment ago. I'm going to commit to the Chancellor that I will continue to mentor students. I will continue to financially support the school when asked. And I will tell my personal story, which is not, at least for me, an easy story to tell. And I think I'll start today, and I promise you it won't be too long. But I think with the story you'll understand where I come from and why I so much appreciate and value this award. And it is a privilege to receive it. I was a kid who grew up in Boston in a housing project. We had a family who really and truly believed in education. And those values were instilled in us by my mother, who I'm fortunate enough to have with me today, Dorothy McGuire. And a father, who after, unfortunately, World War II suffered some of the injuries men do suffer after the war and was totally disabled. So essentially, like you, I was raised by a single mom with 4 kids in the projects that she had to keep straight. And she did a fantastic job. And she did it in part with the access to public school education. It couldn't have happened for our family if we didn't have the University of Massachusetts in our lives. I went to the University of Massachusetts and I received my undergraduate degree. My sister, who couldn't be here with me today, but her son John is here for her, also attended the University of Massachusetts and received her degree. My brother, who had served in Vietnam after graduating from Georgetown, went and did pre-med, because he'd been a medic in Vietnam, had to do school all over again, went to the University of Massachusetts. We have 3 of us at the University of Massachusetts at the same time, and another sister who was at Northeastern University pursuing a nursing degree. All of that came from, of course, the strong values that my mother instilled in us and access to education. I think the Chancellor's asking us to remember, and I'm sure many of you have the same stories, what it is that brought you to the point in your lives today where you can sit back and enjoy your successes. And for many of you, it was a hard journey, but you got there because you had access to a public school education. So I'll leave my remarks right there and say that I'd like to take this moment to share my Lifetime Achievement Award with my mother, Dorothy McGuire.
To present a Law School Alumni Association Lifetime Achievement Award, it is my pleasure to introduce Val Rivero and Paul Gagnon.
So I'll introduce myself. My name is Paul Gagnon. I'm one of the 6 immigration judges in the Boston Immigration Court. And Dean, we're just absolutely delighted that you have decided to present this award to our court administrator. He's just a phenomenal guy. And I was listening to your very poignant remarks over the law school earlier this evening, and it struck me that Bob completely typifies the type of student, the type of alum that comes from this school, and the type of contributions that they make on an everyday basis. Bob's a Pawtucket guy. He grew up in Pawtucket. His dad was a firefighter. Mom Babs was a school bus driver. Bob, as a kid, was a newsboy and also a hot walker at the Narragansett racetrack. Anybody that doesn't know what that is, watch see this. He was also an award-winning amateur boxer. I can tell you all about that later on. What happened after he won that award. After he completed high school, he answered this country's call, went over and served in Vietnam honorably in the Coast Guard, came back and started his career. First in the Rhode Island Division of Motor Vehicles, where he rose to the ranks, eventually ending up as their Chief Hearings Officer. That wasn't enough for him to decide, I'll go to law school and start his law career. Became a deputy administrator in the Rhode Island courts and also had a private practice in 1999. A little bit before I got there, we were lucky enough to get him to come up and be the administrator of our court. He is very well regarded by all of his peers all around the country, judges all around the country, as one of the very, very top court administrators. In fact, one of his colleagues from New York, I hate to say he's a Yankees fan, but he's here today, drove up from New York just to be here with him this night. Bob, we would not do the work of our court, which is an extremely high volume court, without all of the innovations that Bob does. He's a natural leader. He's a great boss. He's a wonderful colleague. He keeps cracking the whip on us judges. You know, we want to just kind of drink coffee and things like that. But anyway, as I say, I'm just completely delighted to be here tonight to share this great evening. And I'm also very proud to call this man my friend. A little bit about perseverance. Going to the law school back earlier tonight, a couple of people brought up our early days at the school. And although we were known as the Southern New England School of Law, there's two of us who remember fondly Betty's little girl. And for those law students who have never heard of it, Rob Rogers someday will give you some stories about it. But we had to preserve it because it was unbelievable. If it wasn't for people like Roger and Bobby DeVito, Chuck Calgione, who were here, and Jane, who I saw earlier, you know, the school probably wouldn't be Southern New England Law School, now University of Dartmouth Law School. So thanks to all of those old timers who started it and kept it going. So I'm deeply honored to be the recipient of this award. I've always wanted to be a lawyer. However, it took a few detours in getting there. Thanks to the support and encouragement from my family, I entered law school. Their encouragement is unbelievable. I'm also grateful for my classmates who believed in an unaccredited law school at the time, especially my study partners, Bob DeVito, Chuck Calgione, Bobby Gay, and Paul Caron. The last two, unfortunately, didn't make it. We, the entire current and legacy law school, owe so very much to Judge Francis Larkin and Judge Bill Dimitri, but especially Francis Larkin, who I can tell you right now, there would not be a law school if it was not for Francis Larkin. Thank you. Bill Clary walking around earlier, and he was one of the beginners also. Chuck, Bobby, UCC. After graduation, I received a call from a longtime friend, William Billy Burke, who's here. Told me I had a spare office. He had a spare office for me, and he gave me an office and so much guidance in my law career. Soon after, my brother-in-law, Mark Welch, joined the law office, and we just had a lot of fun practicing law together. Mark and I would use electronic media, being the young guys of the office. Yeah, at one time I was young. While Bill Burke would grab the old law books and try to beat us and find the case on point. At this time, that it was my friend and colleague Bill Burke who represented me before the Rhode Island Supreme Court Bar Examiners to be the first graduate of the school to pass the Rhode Island Bar, take the Rhode Island Bar. And guess who testified at that hearing? Judge Francis Larkin. Thank you. So while I'm the recipient of this honor, these are the people who represent the foundation of what I am today, what molded me. I've tried to follow a simple plan in life. Remember the simple plan, become what I come back with. So I've tried to keep a simple plan of the various positions held over the year. As operator control chief, deputy court administrative clerk in the state of Rhode Island, and the court administrator for the immigration court in Boston.
I've always managed to surround myself with good people. In every job, it was the professionals and staff that I teamed with who seemed to work hard to make me look very good. Several of the state workers are here: Larry Brooks, Cheryl Giacomo, Cheryl Diorio, people who aren't here: Ed Parry, the late Ed Parry, Elaine Phillips, and so very, very many more who just helped me to become very successful. And I had the distinct pleasure of working with all of them. In Boston, the effort to make me look good not only continued, it expanded. The entire court staff and judges, and this is where I keep myself out of trouble, Judges Ragno, Shapiro, Anion, D'Angelo, Fetter, O'Malley, and Judge Day, who was also here, because I'd be really in trouble tomorrow if I didn't mention the judge. Along with the attorneys that were here in court, who are members of AILA and the Department of Homeland Security Office of Chief Counsel, were always available and very supportive of me. The AILA court people, like Howie, Tony, Brian, Carlos, Uno, Matt, Mike, Vince, Linda, Dan, the current chapter chair, Ed White, and so very many others who came tonight. I'm really touched by your presence. But again, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you people. You've enriched the views I have of law and management of the court. So what was our simple plan? I was once told that Warren Buffett coined the adage, hire smart people and get out of their way. Well, my plan deviated a bit. I decided to surround myself with good people, listen to them, and then get out of the way. That was my success. I've always had wonderful people around me, both friends and workers. Thus, although I stand here to accept this from the Alumni Association and the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth Law School and the University of Massachusetts itself, I accept it on behalf of all the people who I've worked with who absolutely made me. I didn't make myself. Thank you.
Please welcome an honored Alumni Association board member, Donald Wood, who will introduce this year's Distinguished Lifetime Service Award recipient.
Good evening and congratulations to all our award recipients this evening. I am very proud to be a part of this event. Believe me, I graduated from here 50 years ago. And the man that I'm going to present to you is a golden oldie along with me. I'm very proud of this. I am part of the group that decided that he should have the Alumni Association Distinguished Service Award. If you read it carefully, it says this: awarded to a dynamic and purposeful alumni volunteer leader whose loyal, unselfish, and consistent service to the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth, and the Alumni Association has enhanced the reputation and furthered the mission of our university. The three things that our Chancellor mentioned tonight, he has done all his life. He's an old world gentleman, polite, and the most honest person I have ever met. I don't need my notes anymore. I met him about 20 years ago at our alumni board meeting. We became fast friends. He valued many of the things that I did, and we saw each other as being fast friends. I also noticed that he was a volunteer helping everyone. He has been a board member of the 9th Day Nursery in Fall River, Massachusetts, and a treasurer. Now, I remember him saying, a treasurer and he has been members of many other boards, and he always was a treasurer. And I found out that he was so tight that we were going to be successful. I became fast friends, and I said, you are going to be part of a group that is going to build a tower from the old Derby High School and put on Ellsbury Street. This bell tower was a replica of the one at the high school, 30 feet high. He became part of that group along with 5 graduates of the University of Massachusetts and one other person who was a staff member of the University of Massachusetts. We have been together for 13 years. We built the tower, cost over $500,000. It's now on Ellsbury Street, and it's become a tourist attraction. He is part of that, and I want you to know that. He also has been a Charlton Hospital Auxiliary Board member, again, treasurer. I said at one day, I'd like to invite you to my church. And he said, okay. And while he was there, I was talking to him about some of the things the church needed. And I said, we need a new boiler. The church is 100 years old, and we've got to have a new boiler to today's specifications. I said, okay. And he talked about it. And he worked on it. And we did get a green certificate for the boiler. He is a mechanical engineer and an excellent one. I also said to him, you know, you are so good with money. I think you should be on the prudential committee. He is, and we are saving money again. And I said to him, you know something? Do you sing? He said, no. I said, I'd like you to become a member of the choir at the church. And he said, Donald, I can't read music. I said, don't worry, neither can I. We make a perfect duo. We're both bass. He is high bass, and I am low bass. And we do give much to the church. And it gives me great pleasure because he's become a personal friend. He is honest, he's dedicated, and he is so good to people. I'd like to present my friend for the Alumni Association Distinguished Service Award. John.
Well, I'm honored to be here this evening. When I retired from my career as a mechanical engineer, I wondered what I would do with my time. Well, I found out shortly I volunteered for the Umass Alumni Association, and I was active for about 15 years, and along the way I got involved with various other activities that Donald has described. My former friend. I find that those activities have been very rewarding, and I'm going to continue with them into the future. I want to thank the university for sponsoring this evening, and of course I'm very honored to accept this reward from the University of Massachusetts Alumni Association. And thank you all for
This has been fantastic. If she doesn't mind, I'm going to put Chancellor Grossman on the spot and ask her to try to put this evening in perspective.
Thank you, Bob. Why don't we give all the honorees another round of applause? Next year will be the 50th anniversary of the construction of this campus. The groundbreaking occurred on June 24, 1964, was when the first building was built, designed by Paul Rudolph, who at the time was the dean of the Yale School of Architecture. Although the university dates back to 1895, to the New Bedford Textile School and the Bradford Durfee Textile School, the physical facility of this campus on the 700 acres, that groundbreaking was 50 years ago. And I take that as symbolic of the transition that is occurring right now, because the trajectory of Umass Dartmouth is going this way, from a regional university to a national university, and the transition from a master's university to a doctoral research university. When you heard the speeches, very moving speeches of those who came up to the podium, you heard some themes that were recurrent. You heard an education that was of high quality, that was affordable and accessible. How many times did you hear, I was the first in my family to go to college? And how many times did you hear, I had to work, either part-time or full-time, in order to be able to support myself in college? And how many times did you hear, I would not have done it without my professor? And I can tell you 100% of the time, when I meet with alumni all over the United States, they speak very gratefully about that mentorship of the faculty. Professor Peter Rizzi was mentioned by Bob Tavares when I met with Bob in California. Bob is the president of the Electronics Division of Crane Aerospace Electronics. When I met with John Hawes in Florida, he was the CEO of a company called Universal Fasteners that later became YKK. He spoke about the mentorship of Professor Fred Matfield. When I first met with Don McCormack, who's the technical director of the Naval Undersea Warfare Center, he spoke about the light bulb turning on in the class with Professor Tom Curry. I can tell you 20, maybe 50 of these stories. But I think that we need to understand that this university and all that it represents dates back to the vision of the men and women who worked in the textile mills and in the fishing communities of this region. They envisioned a future for their children, and they knew that without a college education, those dreams would not come true. You all know that the financial architecture of higher education is broken. We know that because public support for higher education is declining. We know that the costs are becoming more and more expensive because you have public support declining, and therefore families are continuing to bear the burden. Our students are incurring substantial debt, and families are struggling. So this precious resource that all of you spoke about, we have to sustain this. We have to establish this as a legacy that long before I'm gone, and long after all of us are gone, that it will continue so that young people who are here now living in this region and young people who are yet to be born, our children and our grandchildren will continue to have access to a UMass Dartmouth education. This will not happen without all of us. So the message that I want to convey to all of you today is that the faculty and I are very committed to continuing this legacy. But it will not continue without the support of our alumni, and will not continue without the support of our community. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, for the accolades that we have accorded to our alumni who are most accomplished and who we have honored here this evening, but I want you to come away with a commitment and a dedication that we will continue this legacy of UMass Dartmouth way into the future. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you. I want to thank the Alumni Relations team, Chad and Nancy, for all the logistical work to make this evening so successful. The University of Massachusetts Dartmouth Alumni Association and the University of Massachusetts Law School Alumni Association. We ask all tonight's honorees to come up to the stage right now for a group picture. And the rest of us are invited to go to the lobby, socialize with the dessert reception. We'll see you at next year's award ceremony throughout the year.